English Literature, Paper 1, Section A, Macbeth. In this video, we will look at Section A, Paper 1. This is the Shakespeare section, and for you, it means answering a question on Macbeth. Specifically, we will look at the format of the question, how to deal with the extract, how to deal with the play as a whole, how to structure your answer, advice on using quotations, and then final tips. For Section A of Paper 1, you will be answering the question on Macbeth. A short extract from the play will be printed on the page. The question is underneath, and which you will answer by analysing the extract and then writing about the play as a whole. Notice how there are two sets of marks, 1 out of 30, which is based on the quality of your answer, and 1 out of 4, which is for the accuracy of spelling, punctuation and grammar. You have 55 minutes to write your answer. You should spend up to 5 minutes making notes on the extract. In this case, it's from very early in the play and focuses on the report given to Duncan of Macbeth's successes on the battlefield, where he has defeated the rebel armies. Read the question carefully, noting its focus. Here, it's Macbeth as a violent character. Read through the extract, highlighting anything which suggests or refers to Macbeth's violence. At this stage, you're just looking for potential evidence. Add any further thoughts or patterns or general effects you notice and which are relevant to the question. Return to the focus of the question. Overall, what does Shakespeare seem to be saying about violence and Macbeth? Now, the notes on screen are fuller and neater than yours need to be because they are for illustrative purposes. If you want, you can start writing about the extract whilst your notes are fresh in your mind. Alternatively, it may be better to finish making notes on the play as a whole just in case you forget or don't leave enough time. Most students and teachers think it's best to complete all the notes before starting to write the answer, so we'll move on to the second part of the question. As you'll be writing about the rest of the play from memory, it's less likely that you'll be able to go into as much detail as for the extract analysis. Nevertheless, do think hard and aim to be as precise and specific as possible. Start with examples of Macbeth's violence elsewhere in the play and briefly jot down some examples. You're just brainstorming now, so don't worry too much about whether you'll need every one of your notes. At this stage, you're jogging your memory and putting down potential points. Try to cover as much of the play as possible. Aim to have something to say from the beginning, middle and end. If possible, add some quotations or specific references. We'll look at quotations later in this video. Again, it doesn't matter if you'll use them in your answer, you've got them ready just in case. Finally, as with the extract, look at the question focus and summarise what Shakespeare seems to convey about violence and Macbeth in the play's other scenes. You're now ready to write your answer. There is no official or examiner-approved method when it comes to structuring your answer to the Macbeth question. So long as your answer is clear, relevant to the task, and deals with the extract and the play as a whole, you'll be fine. However, this suggested approach is commonly used. Begin by analysing and explaining the extract. Then turn your attention to the play as a whole. In this video, we'll be following this approach. When writing about the extract, it's best to start by very briefly putting it into context. For example, when it comes in the play and why the moment in the extract is important. Note how the answer echoes the key wording of the task. Macbeth as a violent character. Then track through the extract, picking up on your highlighted evidence and linking it to a point about Macbeth and his violence. You should be familiar with this approach from the reading sections of the English language papers. It's also the approach to take with the Christmas Carol task in section B. There's no need to use everything you've highlighted, but do try to say something about the beginning, middle and end of the extract. Where the extract ends is often very important, as it's been deliberately chosen by the exam board to be the cut-off point for a particular reason. In this case, it ends on a very violent image of Macbeth literally splitting his opponent open and then sticking his head on a stick. Adding an overview of the extract is an effective way of concluding this first part of your answer. The example answer you can see on screen for the extract isn't quite a full one, but it should give you a clear indication of how to write about the extract. Because the extract is printed for you, there's no excuse for not consistently using supporting quotations and offering a close analysis. It's probable that you will spend around 20 minutes writing about the extract. When you've tracked to the end, start writing about the play as a whole. Try to begin by commenting on either a clear point of similarity or a point of contrast. For the remainder of the answer, use your earlier notes to explain what the rest of Macbeth has to say on the question focus. So in our example, it's how Macbeth uses violence for his selfish ends and how violence breeds further violence as Macbeth becomes increasingly murderous. One thing to consider as you write is to try to make points of similarity and difference with the extract, so as to provide a tighter or more coherent answer. Ideally, you will spend about 20 minutes on writing about the play as a whole. If you've still got time, by all means, add a conclusion by writing a 1 or 2 sentence summary of your answer to the question. This isn't essential though. What is checking your work carefully, particularly for spelling, punctuation and grammar, because it will be assessed for this task. Here's the example answer for dealing with the whole play. There are many other points which could be made. In the end, you have a limited amount of writing time, so focus on your strengths and write about those aspects of the play you feel most confident about. Do try, however, to cover as much of the play as possible. A copy of the full example answer is available to download from either the ETV page or YouTube site. There are different ways of using quotations. The add-on. Don't write, "I know this because the play says," just use a colon, much quicker and better. The aside, using either brackets or dashes. The integrated quote. This is the best one to use, as it gives the impression that you are exploring the text and helps to give a flow to your answer. By the way, these different ways work for all the literature questions and the reading sections of the language papers. For writing about the play as a whole, you don't need to worry too much about writing the quotation out exactly correct. The examiner is pretty forgiving and will credit misworded quotations. All the examples on screen are fine. If you can't think of a quotation or aren't very good at memorizing quotations, remember that specific references are just as good. Here are a couple of example points with a quotation each, and the same points but with specific references instead. Both get equal credit. The important thing is to support your points with clear and precise evidence from the text. It helps to A. show what you mean, and B. make your argument more convincing. Allow 5 minutes to check your work carefully. Make sure your points are clear, well supported and relevant to the question. As spelling, punctuation and grammar are being marked, make sure as well to check for this, the very least, make sure you have put capital letters at the start of all the characters' names and have spelled Shakespeare with an E on the end. His name will, after all, be on the exam paper, so there's no excuse for getting it wrong. It is likely that your answer will be at least on the third page somewhere, unless you have very small handwriting. However, don't be tempted to spend more than 55 minutes on the question in total. Divide those 55 minutes as follows: 5 to 10 minutes note making, 20 minutes each writing about the bullet points, the extract and the play as a whole, 5 minutes checking. The best answers will likely consider alternative interpretations, in other words, different ways of explaining a moment or a character or an idea. The best answers will definitely discuss the play's themes and ideas. Ask yourself, what does Macbeth say about the question's focus? Finally, think hard. Dig deep and use the opportunity to impress the examiner with the depth and breadth of your understanding of Macbeth. Do yourself proud. You've worked hard these past 2 years and you want the examiner to know it. Good luck and take care.